Friends, I'm so excited to be with you doing our fourth video in the home church training series. Today we are talking about the topic of hospitality. And hospitality is something that is so important in every area of the church, but it's something that's very biblically based and scripturally focused. We find in the New Testament a number of instances where it talks about the importance of hospitality. It says in 1 Timothy 3:2, speaking of a bishop, that they must be above reproach, married only once, temperate, sensible, respectable, hospitable, an apt teacher. In Titus 1:7-8, it also speaks about a bishop and says, as God's steward, they must be blameless. He must not be arrogant or quick-tempered or addicted to wine or violent or greedy for gain, but he must be hospitable, a lover of goodness, prudent, upright, devout, and self-controlled. So those are some attributes that are desired in a leader in the church. But more generally, their commands are given to us to be hospitable as Christians. Those are leadership attributes that people recognize that every Christian should really be living out. In Romans 12:13, Paul said, contribute to the needs of the saints, extend hospitality to strangers. In Hebrews 13:2, he said, do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing so, some of you have entertained angels without knowing it. And in 1 Peter 4:9, we're told that we must be hospitable to one another without complaining. Hospitality is so incredibly important in everything that we do in the church and living out our character as Christians, because it's something that Christ has done in the way he came to us, welcomed us into his life. Now, if we think of hospitality as just making a welcoming and tidy space for people to come in, to have nice refreshments, or to open up our house to different visitors, I think we're missing out on the bigger point of hospitality, because the word hospitality literally means to love the stranger. Right, when the New Testament authors were talking about hospitality, they were pulling on a long history in the Old Testament of Christian hospitality. If we go to the heart of the Old Testament, in Deuteronomy chapter 10, we read this passage. Let me pull it up. That says, for the Lord your God is God of gods, Lord of lords, the great God, mighty and awesome, who is not partial and takes no bribe, who executes justice for the orphan and the widow, and who loves the strangers, providing them food and clothing. You shall also love the strangers, for you are strangers in the land of Egypt. Now, when it's talking about strangers, there's not only the literal meaning of somebody you don't know, but there's also that other more specific meaning where he's talking about those who are not from your country. The immigrant would be a stranger in your land, someone unknown to you as a people. And so it's a deeply held Christian understanding that we're to love other people and welcome them into our lives, especially the ones that we don't know, especially the ones who are at risk and in need. We need to think about those things as we do house church. And we need to remember that at the core of hospitality is really this act of inviting someone into our lives. That we're not just inviting them to an event. We're not just inviting them to even be a part of an activity. We're inviting them into our lives. We're making space in our lives in very simple ways. It's a posture that we live our lives and an action that we take. So when we're thinking about house churches, we can go beyond the normal hospitality things of how can we just make a cozy environment for people to come, but to really think of the simple ways in our lives, the same people that we're inviting to come and be a part, are we opening our doors to them on other times? Are we spending other times of eating with them or inviting them to be a part of the simple things that are going on? We might think it's the big things that matter most. We invite people to these huge things, but often it's the simple little things, the times of inviting people over for coffee, of hanging out on a back patio and chatting about life, simply opening ourselves to the lives of the other person. When it comes to the specific house church gathering, it's incredibly important to create that atmosphere where people know that they're loved and that you're inviting them into your life. Because the reality is, when they look back on this in years to the future, they probably won't remember what the teaching was about. They probably won't remember what Bible passage you talked about. They won't remember all those little things, but they will almost certainly remember the way that you treated them, especially if you treated them in an amazingly loving way. So friends, I want to know what are your questions about hospitality? How have you traditionally thought about it? How are you thinking about incorporating it into your home church gathering? How are you thinking again about those different circles? If we're talking about hospitality and stranger, I like to think of in our life we have different circles. Like maybe we have a work circle, we have a hobby circle, we have another circle here, just people we know in our neighborhood. And then there's the more intimate circle of people that we're having in our lives. I like to think of hospitality as inviting people into that inner circle. So who are the people in those spheres? We keep talking about this. I keep asking because it's important that you're inviting into your life. And then thinking about the people who are kind of outside those spheres. Maybe somebody who's more literally a stranger, somebody an acquaintance. How are you thinking about engaging them and showing them the love that God has for them? Inviting them maybe not all the way into here, but at least into one of these other circles, a place where you two can meet and no longer be strangers anymore. Friends, I am so thankful again for what you are doing, because it is going to be incredibly impactful, not just in your life, not just in the lives of the church as an organization, but for every person who is involved. You're going to make an impact on them, that it's going to change the way that we follow Jesus together in a healthy and good way. So thank you so much again. I continue to pray for you. I am so thankful for you. Have a great day.